Hey there guys, welcome back to part 2 of Picking Up Trash, chapter 1 of Taking Flight, and today I am going to continue. So last time we met our characters, Corey and Trouble, and now we are about to see where their adventure takes them. Trouble sat absent-minded for a moment. Something felt off. Unfamiliar sounds were gradually taking over the town's usual quiet. The noises were growing louder, and Trouble looked up. His eyes widened in recognition. It was unmistakably the sound of a failing thruster. The silhouette of a damaged ship broke through the thin veil of clouds above the nearby crater's brim, heading straight for the town. A litter of flyaway parts and a tail of smoke accompanied its rapid descent. It was an Arabian vessel by the looks of it, in pretty bad shape and coming down hard, its likely crash site at the end of the street. Trouble grabbed his wallet and hurried back inside to warn the others. He flew through the doors, frantically shouting, although it was hard to hear him over the sound of scorching from outside, accompanied by people screaming and shouting. Corey had just settled into another drink but looked up as the commotion began. There was a grinding crescendo that seemed to go on forever, and a crash before a shockwave sent everyone in the bar to the floor and shattered most of the glass. There was a tense moment of silence. Then came the shouting and screaming, accompanied by the high-pitched discharge of energy weapons. Corey's eyes shot open and he snapped to focus. That sound, somehow he knew it, and it put him on edge. The last thing he needed was to be shot at, especially by reclaimers and their high-tech arsenal. Most people were trying to get back on their feet, although Corey and Trouble knew to stay low. Looking around, Corey saw some of the patrons grouping up, making plans or shielding one another. Others were running to retrieve their weapons from the bar. "Get back down!" he growled. "If they see you, you're dead." He didn't care for these people. His logic was the less noise, the less of a target you were likely to be. At first only a few agreed with him, but soon the rest of the patrons followed their lead. Only the most stubborn stuck around for the fight. With most of the crowd heading to the bathroom for cover, Corey got on his knees and slowly moved over to the guy with the rucksack. He was pulling parts for a rifle out of his bag and screwing them together. "Listen," Corey said. "You're the only one here who looks like they know what they're doing. I'm not about to just rush out the fucking door, so we need a plan." The floorboards outside gave off a telltale creak, drawing Corey's attention. He pulled back his coat to grab his rifle, checked its chamber, and signalled to the opposite side of the door. The creaking became louder as Corey set up under the window. He nodded, counting down in time with the footsteps. 3, 2, 1. The doors flew off their hinges, landing at the back of the bar. Corey clenched his teeth and fired a couple of rounds into the hooded figure that appeared in the opening. Trouble popped up from behind an overturned table. He watched the first intruder fall and took care of the next two. "Actually, pal, rushing out was my plan." He moved up to the door and fired 2 shots into the street. "Let's get out of here!" Corey smiled in appreciation as he watched his new gun buddy kill 4 Reclaimer raiders and expertly dive out the door. Trouble hit the ground behind a water trough where he could see the street, a good place to provide cover fire, allowing Corey to move around the side of the building. From their position, they could see an Arabian vessel sitting in the remains of a building. That end of the street was home to 2 establishments, the settlement's bank and the post office, and the post office was still standing. Several reclaimers were tearing through the wreckage, screaming commands, shooting at anyone who moved. From behind the scattered street furniture and gaping holes where windows had once been, the townfolk were shooting them right back. Trouble moved to a better position. He took cover behind a wrecked hovercar and steadied his rifle on the rear. He paused to assess the situation and started to fire again. As he was returned upon, he ducked down again and reloaded his rifle. The click of a fresh magazine sparked an idea. Trouble could barely contain himself as he shouted over to Corey, "Let's steal their ship! Leave them stranded! The locals can handle them. Besides, we can fire on them with their own guns." Trouble moved out firing, determination clear on his weathered face. He made sure nearly every shot hit its mark. Corey had heard his companion over the gunfire but didn't give it much thought. His shots were less considered, but they eventually hit their marks. Corey's gun was as loud as Trouble's was accurate. It drew attention, which allowed his new friend to move up as he needed. After taking cover for a much needed reload and a short breather, Corey considered the suggestion that they steal the Reclaimer's ship. After another deep breath, he moved out from behind the bar wall and made a run towards the main street. He spotted the vessel before being forced to take cover behind a wall. He could hear fragments chipping off the other side and considered his next move. "Get to the rear of the ship," Corey said over the continued noise. "Should be a lock we can break." He peered over the wall once more and caught sight of a lone Reclaimer. This one wielded a sword and strode directly towards Trouble, who, oblivious to the incoming threat, had ducked down to reload. Corey raised his rifle and took a careful aim. He watched all the bullets pierce the Reclaimer's chest. It had been the cleanest kill he'd made all day. Before he could celebrate, the Reclaimers retaliated with a barrage of fire. He managed to dive out of the way quickly enough to only suffer some minor hits, but the pain quickly overtook his senses. Corey fell to the ground shivering, his mind screaming in anger. Come on! So that was part 2. Stay tuned, because it all concludes in part 3. And yeah, if you want to follow along with these reading samples, or if you missed part 1, all that is available in the playlist, along with some other stories like Space Junk and Sinex Salvage or Salvage Mission. That's also a very nice story. And yeah, ChaosNova.co.uk. Thank you very much for watching. Take it easy. All the best.